right, everybody, happy Saturday. It's Meteorologist Ansley Parker here, and we have got a lot of updates. This has been a morning full of lots of weather changes, and we know that we have the line of storms and showers coming into our area later this afternoon. And excuse me, I'm getting a notification from the National Weather Service chat about some weather warnings, so I was just making sure that that did not pertain to us, and it does not. But the weather is kind of starting to be a little bit active in the state, so we're kind of at the perfect timing to check in with the forecast and see what's going on out there right now and talk a little bit more about what that means for our area. Now, if you were watching the show with me just 2 hours ago, things generally looked like they were trending in a good direction for us. Not that things are trending in a bad direction for us now, but this is definitely some time when I kind of want to check back in with where things stand now. And we will kind of have to pay attention to what's going on as we go into the next maybe hour or two as this line approaches our area. So enough of me talking about it. Let's go ahead and take a look at where things stand at the moment. I'm going to take the graphics full screen so that you can see what I'm talking about as I talk about it. But this is the current satellite and radar at the moment. Now you can see a lot of things kind of jump out at you at once as we flip over to this satellite and radar picture. We've got a kind of brand new severe thunderstorm warning as well as a brand new tornado warning. Now, I want to emphasize both of these are outside of our viewing area, but you know, they're close, right? So the thing that's kind of happened over the last, I'd say, hour or so is that we've started to see this line move a bit more easterly. So all morning long, it's been kind of moving northeasterly a little bit. So almost kind of moving to the north as opposed to tracking closer to us. Now, this is kind of making a little bit more of a due easterly track. So you can kind of see that just by looking at the warning boxes. They are kind of pointing directly east as opposed to the northeast, kind of how that direction was earlier this morning. You see it going from everything's going this way to now things are kind of just going this way. So what that means for us basically is just that this line is getting a little bit closer to approaching us. And the hope here was that there would be a huge weakening of this line as it got closer. That is still forecasted to happen, but as it gets closer to our northwestern counties, it's definitely still packing at least a little bit of a punch. So we're kind of going to see this approach our area within the next hour or so, and this is kind of the time that we need to be watching. One of the brand new updates that we have from the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center is this tornado watch. Now, we've had a tornado watch out there all morning. Obviously, when we just look at this graphic, you can tell we are not included in it, but we are pretty close, right? I mean, it's counties just to the west of us that are included in this. So as this crosses over state lines from Alabama into Georgia, that's when we're kind of going to see this at its strongest. And the hope is that once it kind of crosses over into our area, there's going to be this gradual weakening trend. So the kind of reason that I emphasize that is, again, the point I'm trying to drive home here is just that we need to be paying attention as this line crosses state lines and then gets close to our northwestern counties. These are the ones who could potentially see a severe thunderstorm warning, who could potentially see a brief spin-up tornado, though it is unlikely. And so this is kind of the time frame where we're paying attention to what's going on as this crosses over state lines. That was not a glitch. You actually just saw the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center trim some areas in Alabama out of this watch as this line is progressing further towards the east. So let's go back to the satellite and radar and keep talking about kind of where things stand right now. So it is this kind of big line of showers and thunderstorms, and we have those two warnings. So let's kind of start there. Obviously, we have this one tornado warning. Now, this is pretty new. The National Weather Service kind of just alerted us that they would be issuing this. I'm sorry, I'm getting some notifications and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm on top of everything as this gets a little closer. Okay, yeah, that's just the National Weather Service talking about this warning right here. So there's not really a major tornado risk associated with this line, but as it's kind of rolled over from state lines, there's just enough kind of spin in the atmosphere for these brief spin up tornadoes. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now. If you flip it over to the velocity, right now I will say the velocity signature is definitely better than it was when they had originally issued this warning. The reason that they did, if we kind of take it back a couple of scans, is you can see there, there was some clear rotation. If we take it out 1 or 2 scans, kind of when things get a little brighter, you can see that right there. And then there was also a drop in correlation coefficient, which essentially means that there is clearly something in the atmosphere that's not supposed to be there. So actually it was this scan right here that made the National Weather Service go, okay, we need to warn this, because this right here tells us, yeah, something is in the air that's not supposed to be in the air. There's some sort of lofted debris up there. So we need to keep our eye on this and alert folks who are ahead of this. But the good news is, again, you kind of saw the broader rotation there, but I will say there is still a decent signature of some sort of lofted debris up in the air with this warning. Now, again, this is not for our area. I'm just trying to kind of get a picture of what's going on with this line as it gets a little bit closer to us. Down further towards the south, which actually this kind of section would be tracking towards us most immediately, we have this severe thunderstorm warning. Now, it's warned because of the wind speeds that are within this warning. This is winds that are up to 60 mile an hour. So we have these really strong wind gusts with this warning right here. But it's moving, I would say, relatively quick, but it won't be necessarily to our area anytime soon. So this is moving at 50 miles an hour to the east. So if we take this out 50 miles an hour, that does outrun the cone. But you can see, even by the time we would get to potentially even noon, we're still not even talking about this being in counties like Taylor or even Upson County. So we definitely have some time before this line gets to us. Don't get me wrong. And things could look a whole lot different by the time this line does get to us. The hope and kind of the thinking by the National Weather Service and both the Storm Prediction Center is that by the time this line makes it all the way across state lines and it's in our area, things will be weaker and we should hopefully not have as high of a severe weather threat. So I'm going to take you through the models here to kind of emphasize that point. I will also show you, yes, we just saw that tornado warning that got extended, but it's pretty much in line with the thinking from the Storm Prediction Center here. Remember, we have this level 2, and that's where things have been really strong all morning, and that's where things are strong right now. That did include this western corner of our state. So things are basically on track at the moment. We've got these stronger storms up here. Remember, we have the kind of tornado warning up in this area, and then down where this is going to be crossing state lines. Again, that's still the level 2 risk. Basically, almost where they have the tornado warning is kind of where this level 2 risk is. Actually, this morning, the Storm Prediction Center took us out of the level 1 risk entirely, but it kind of grazes our northwestern counties. So the thinking here, again, to drive the point home, is that as this line crosses into our northwestern counties, it's going to pack a little bit of a punch, but then it will quickly fade into something a little bit less intense. So if I take you through the models here, the only thing about the models is I'm not totally sure that they are 100% in line with what's going on the radar right now. If we compare this graph model with current satellite and radar, flip it over quickly for you. It's not far off, but I would say that the line is definitely a bit closer to us now than the graph would have resolved it to have been. So you're going to see that the graph thinks that this really won't be even in our area until maybe even 3 in the afternoon. I think it's moving a little bit quicker than that. I think we're talking about more of a 1 p.m. arrival time, maybe a little bit earlier than what the graph model is thinking here. And it just started kind of trending later. I believe it was because the front was kind of sitting in the same spot most of the morning. Now, obviously, it's moving a little bit quicker and it's moving a bit more to the east as opposed to the northeast. So I think that this timing is now a little bit off. But you can see the graph does kind of maintain that thinking that as it approaches our northwestern counties, it's still going to hold together a good bit. So kind of rolling into the northwest here with a little bit of a punch. But then pretty quickly, as we get into further into central Georgia, closer to Bibb County, Crawford, Jones, areas like that, that's when the line starts to show some signs of weakening. You can see it starts to be a little more broken up. The reflectivity values aren't quite as red. And there should just generally be a little bit less organization to the system as a whole. Now, that is the original thinking. The only caveat to this is that I do believe we've had a good bit of sunshine throughout the day here in central Georgia. So, you know, I, at this point in time, think it's something we should still keep our eyes on, but the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center both maintain that there still should be some signs of weakening by the time we get to this point. This will be kind of when we're losing daylight as well. So hopefully that will still kind of be the case as we head into the rest of the day. Either way, no matter what goes on for the rest of the afternoon, this will be said and done by the time we get to late night tonight, and then we roll overnight tonight into tomorrow morning to kick off a much clearer day. So despite the mess out there right now and what potentially could transpire for the rest of this afternoon, it will all be said and done heading into the late night and overnight hours tonight. So let me, excuse me for pausing momentarily every now and then. Obviously, since we have a little bit of an active situation just to the north of us, I'm trying to keep really good touch with the National Weather Service chat just to make sure that they're not including us in any of their conversations. So if I do pause for a moment, please excuse me while I check on that. Things are still looking good though. So let's look at one more model. This is the HER model. What I like better about this one is I think that it's got the timing down a bit better. This is kind of where the graph thinks we would be at 3 p.m. The HER model has this at 1 p.m. So I do agree with the timing here. I also kind of agree with the strength of this. Obviously, it's still held together a good bit rolling into the northwest, and then shows some signs of weakening as it pushes across our region. So I do think that's going to be the case. If you're curious where I feel like we could potentially have a severe weather warning this afternoon, I would say mainly counties like Upson, like Lamar, like Jasper, and like Putnam. Now you can kind of see this newest severe thunderstorm warning does get a little bit closer to our area. So actually I will kind of go ahead and time this one out with this new warning box that we've got just to kind of give us an idea of what the timeline with this could be like. Now first, let me check and see how quick this thing is moving. Okay, so this severe thunderstorm warning is moving relatively slower than the other side. This one is only moving at 30 miles an hour. So let's track this bad boy out to 30 miles an hour to the southeast. Yeah, so I mean, it would be kind of in the vicinity of our area, still within an hour. So we're still kind of on the same timeline as we had originally thought. Okay, I'm sorry. I really apologize for my kind of momentary stopping, and I'm communicating with our digital team just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page and that we are good to go in case they do decide to extend this warning into our area a little bit early. So we could be talking about a severe thunderstorm warning in maybe the Upson and Lamar, Jasper County area, or yeah, within the next maybe 30 minutes to an hour. So that would be kind of the next immediate thing. Let's check back in on this tornado warning because I do not see them extending the box any further, which is good news for us. But we definitely want to keep our eye on this, especially as it approaches the radar. Sometimes it can be a little bit harder to see since this correlation coefficient has been such a good indication for us. Let's keep an eye on that. Okay, yeah, so they did say they're going to let this warning expire. This sets to expire in about 5 minutes, or they go ahead and do it now. They are keeping their eye on this specific portion of the line because they are going to tag it as tornado possible. So because it's tried to kind of spin up every now and then, they are going to watch it, but overall, the actual warning was allowed to expire. So that's good news with that. Yeah, and that's kind of the situation there. So elsewhere, it's really just that other severe thunderstorm warning. Again, that part is a little bit further away from us. So, and that is kind of almost looking like, well, I guess it is moving due east. It was kind of almost looking to me like maybe it was about to start turning down towards the south, maybe heading more this direction. And that would kind of be in line with this box now that the whole line is kind of moving towards the southeast, which again, would mean that we're kind of just seeing this whole line get close to entering our area here within the next kind of hour to 2 hours or so, close to a 12:30 to 1 p.m. arrival, which again, I'll emphasize is kind of what the models were thinking originally. So I showed the Storm Prediction Center outlook. I showed that new tornado warning that does not include us, but gets pretty close. I showed you the models there. If you're curious kind of what our instability features look like, this is the tornado potential. These in general are very low values. You can see the scale at the top of the screen. High indication that there could be some tornadoes would be the oranges and the red values. This is not a high potential. What we're kind of seeing right now with this line is just these quick spin ups. So we've got enough kind of spin in the atmosphere for really brief areas of circulation, but then they kind of brought them back out just as quickly as they tightened up. So that's kind of why we're in this low category. And again, it just kind of grazes our northern counties, and then we're not really expecting to see anything else for the rest of the day. So all these severe parameters and everything that I'm kind of showing here just drive the point home that our northwestern counties are going to see this come in a little bit stronger, and then it should gradually weaken as it pushes across our region. I kind of sound like a broken record, but that is basically the most important point of what's going on right now and kind of what's going to be going on for the rest of this afternoon. So it's just going to be reflected in all the severe parameters that we have out there right now. And also, I will say that's kind of no surprise. That is what happens when we have lines coming through in our area like that. They tend to come into our northwestern counties with a bit more of a punch, and then they gradually weaken as they push further towards the south and the east, where just the instability is a little bit lower. So we will keep tracking with that line of thinking, especially based on history and kind of what we're seeing out there right now. And we will just keep an eye on what is out there at the moment to just kind of keep things being observed. So again, the way things stand, it's really just those two severe thunderstorm warnings. I really, again, would not be surprised to see this severe thunderstorm warning right here get extended into our area, but remember, it is a slow mover at this point in time. It is only moving at 30 miles an hour, so it's not running down here as quick as it possibly can. It is just gonna kind of take its time. We probably won't really truly see it in our area until maybe another hour or so. So down to the southeast, we'll just do this one more time for the sake of showing it. And again, we're not talking about areas that are included in our counties until beyond kind of the noon mark. So they may extend this out as kind of an early heads up the same way they've done it now. Obviously that line is not, you know, down here in Warm Springs or even in Harrelson. It's still pretty far back, but our National Weather Service likes to do that, just give people a really early heads up. Hey, you're in the severe thunderstorm warning. This is just to let you know there's a pretty strong line that's approaching you, and it kind of gives folks a little bit of time to prepare. So if you do happen to see that warning, obviously I will be here and I'll break that down again, but that I wouldn't be surprised to see them do here in the next little bit or so, maybe for parts of Upson, Monroe, Jasper, areas like that. So the way things kind of stand right now, we're in a little bit of a holding pattern, like I said. At the exact moment, we don't have any warnings. That line is approaching us, and the driving point that I want to make is, yes, it's going to come here with a little bit of strength, and we should be kind of paying attention as it pulls into our northwestern counties. Then as it pushes further towards the southeast, I'm talking even as far as Bibb County, we should hopefully see this continue to weaken. So we're gonna have our guard up for the next hour, 2 hours, kind of in that time frame to be paying attention. And we will just keep an eye on this, and then we will hopefully watch it lose strength as it moves across our area. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna leave the Doppler up for folks who are still watching here on 13 WMAZ Plus. I'm gonna get my team together, get organized, and kind of give everybody a heads up that we could be in a severe thunderstorm warning here in the next little bit or so, so that we can get organized on our side. And then of course, if we do have a severe thunderstorm warning, I will join you live once again on Facebook here on 13 WMAZ Plus, and we will just kind of track this thing out for what the rest of the day should look like. So again, we will leave you with this. Thank you for joining us for this 11 a.m. stream, and definitely make sure to stay up to date with us through the rest of this afternoon. I will be here and we will be live with any more updates that we have. So I'll leave the satellite and radar up, and hopefully you can have a safe and good rest of your day, and we will be back shortly if a severe thunderstorm warning has been extended.